Hey guys, it's Zach from MtGOB, and today's super budget deck tech is a vampire tribal with Sorin, Vengeful, Bloodlord, and Damnable pact. Let's check it out. So the Oathbreaker for today's build is going to be Sorin, Vengeful, Bloodlord, and we're going to go ahead and pair that with Damnable pact in order to draw us a whole bunch of cards, and using Sorin's static ability is going to negate that life loss doing it. We are also going to be utilizing Sorin's +2 ability to ping a target player or planeswalker to keep some of our opponent's planeswalkers and themselves in check. Lastly, Sorin's -X ability is going to bring back a lot of our key pieces and hopefully keep us ahead of our opponents with recursion ability. For our creatures, we'll start with our 1-drops. Duskborn Skymarcher, Vicious Conquistador, and Skymarcher's Aspirant all help our cause in various different ways. As for the 2-drops, we have Legion's Lieutenant to pump, Pitiless Pontiff is a sack engine, Gifted Aetherborn, Paladin of Atonement, and Cruel Celebrant gain us life, and Oathsworn Vampire is a recursion target. Each of our 3-drops brings something different to the table. Envoy and Skymarcher gain us life, Infiltrator is another sack engine, and Mavern Fane is a token factory. I've added 1 copy of Izarith the Awakener. Even though she is not a vampire, her recursion ability is too good to pass up. She will continuously bring creatures back to the battlefield. For our 4-drops, Driver of the Dead is another way to bring creatures back from the graveyard to our battlefield. Vindictive Vampire is another reward engine for when we sacrifice our creatures, and Sanctum Seeker is often a game-ending bomb that can end the game when you swing with multiple vampires on the board. Epicure of Blood is a solid card with its 4/4 stats and the ability to drain each opponent for 1 life whenever we gain life, which is going to happen quite often in this deck. No vampire tribal is complete without the Bishop of Rebirth. With her 3/4 stats and vigilance, whenever she attacks, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's another quick and reliable means of bringing your creatures back every turn. Lastly, we have Vona, Butcher of Megan. Vona is a huge and key piece in this. She has a 4/4 body with vigilance and lifelink, and more important than that, we can pay 7 and tap her to destroy target non-land permanent, which in this deck is not an issue and is almost killing something for free. Next, we move on to our instants and sorceries. First, we'll start with our removal package. We have ways to deal with creatures, artifacts, and enchantments, and of course, 1 board wipe for good measure. Next, we have more ways to bring our vampy boys back, and revenge is also a good way to gain us a chunk of life. Lastly, Sanguine Sacrament and Finale of Eternity. Sanguine Sacrament is in here to gain us another chunk of life, and Finale of Eternity is another form of removal which, if we dump enough mana into it, can act as another form of recursion. Perfect for this deck. For our enchantments, we have Argyl's Bloodfast, which is in here to drain us for 2, but to give us steady card draw. Radiant Destiny is here to pump all of our vampires, and once we ascend, which is once we reach 10 permanents on the board, it gives us vigilance as well. Legion's Landing is here to give us a token, and once Legion's Landing and Argyl's Bloodfast flip, they flip into lands that sack and produce tokens. As for artifacts, the only artifact that I threw in here was the Orzhov Signet to help us with our mana a little bit more, but other than that, there was not too much room nor too much on the budget to throw anything extra in there. But there are some great additions that you can add later. Now, because this is a super budget deck, I could only afford to throw in Memorial to Folly, Orzhov Guildgate, as well as the Orzhov Basilica in order to help with the mana, besides the 9 plains and 10 swamps that we threw in there. When it comes to upgrading this deck, because it is so super budget, there are literally a million different ways that you can go as far as putting additional creatures into the creature base that will improve the overall flow of this deck, as well as key creatures like Elinda, the Dusk Rose, Yaheni, Undying Partisan, and Aetheros, God of Passage, which are musts. Bloodline Keeper would be a great add in here if you can afford it. Once he flips, he ends up becoming a 5/3 body that pumps all your other vampires and keeps giving you vampires. And if you can afford it, definitely add any of the other versions of Sorin to the deck because they all deal with vampires and synergize greatly with the deck. Because I kept this deck so super budget, I kept out most of the dual lands that you would normally find and automatically throw in there. So you can go ahead and add those. And if you are really wanting to spend money, go ahead and throw in a Marsh Flats so you can make people like me jealous of the fact that you can throw that much money at Magic. Alrighty, boys and girls, that'll do it for this deck tech. Thank you for tuning in to another one. Please share, like, and subscribe if you like my content, as it will help me create more and spread the word of Oathbreaker. Also, if you guys like MTG related content, check out my buddy Guildhall Games' channel if you dig that kind of stuff, as well as D&D content as well for all you D&D nerds too.